My name is Kundai Kondo. I'll be your host for this afternoon. I currently serve at PowerTel Communications as the Finance Director. PowerTel is into telecommunications and we are a subsidiary of ZESA Holdings. So just to know a bit about me, I love soccer a lot. And I'm a staunch Man City fan. I used to... Guys, it's the team to support. So that's my team. I've got experience in telecommunications, medical aid, insurance. I've also worked during my articles at Ernst & Young. I trained with EY. So that's basically about me. I love ethical leadership, honesty, integrity. That's what drives me, and nothing can stop what I want to do. I believe the sky is the limit. So I just want to encourage everyone that whatever you want to achieve, nothing can stop you as long as you set your sight on the goals. So it is with great honor and pleasure to welcome you to our 2026 ICAZ Winter School here at the Elephant Hills. I hope we will have very good discussions. We are all free to participate and share ideas, and we learn as we go. I would want to acknowledge our Honorable Minister Mthuli Ncube in absentia. I would also want to acknowledge our PAB Secretary. I saw him earlier, Mr. Donald Mangeje. I would also want to acknowledge our Auditor General, Mrs. Vimbai Chikwenere, here amongst us. I would also want to acknowledge our ICAZ President, Mr. Emmanuel Mdefi, ICAZ Senior Vice President, Ms. Angeline Muzira, ICAZ Junior Vice President, Ms. Kudakwashe Mswaka, ICAZ CEO, Mr. William Mandisoza, ICAZ past presidents here by name, Mr. Bothwo Manyajeka, Mr. Martin Makaya, ICAZ council members, ICAZ secretariat, sponsors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. I would also want to acknowledge those who are joining us online today. Our theme for this conference is Charting New Frontiers, Resilience, Innovation, and Sustainable Value. Accountants, we have always been known for being people who are sort of risk averse, and it is up to us to be able to prove to the world that we can add value, we can take up that seat on the table. It's up to us to do what we want to do. So I'll just start with a simple question. If accountants had a superhero power, what would it be? I would just want to ask anyone from the audience to just attempt that question. If accountants had a superhero power, what would it be? Any guess? We've got the roving mic.
I'm sure the accountant should have integrity.
Okay. Any other person who would want to attempt the last person? Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. Anyone else before I move on?
To create the future.
Yes, so it can be anything, how you want to see it. It's only up to you to dream and envision the outcome that you'd want to see. So to start the program, we would want to call Mr. Gwanzura to come and give us an opening prayer.
I have just 1 minute before I pray. I would like to say I love this country. I love it for one thing, among other things. We have freedom of worship. I thought I would hear people clap. Thank you very much. I know we have many religions, maybe in here, but I know in the country. But this afternoon we are going to pray to God our Father through Jesus Christ. So if you are a Muslim, you can join us. All are welcome in our Christian world. Shall we be upstanding as we pray? Our dear Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you for traveling mercies that we go today. We are all here safe, and there are some who are still on the road, and some are still flying. Be with them. We thank you for the next 3 days that we are going to have. May we have the wisdom. May we also have the peace of mind and the tolerance for each other. As we go through our programs, be with the speakers and give them the wisdom to share what they've prepared for us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
I would now want to call upon the Harare Committee Chairperson, Simbarashe Mambanda, to come and give us some welcome remarks.
I should keep clapping, otherwise I fall. Where I come, I'm a pastor, and protocols don't allow me to not welcome my wife. So welcome my wife. I would like to write on the protocols already observed, but just in brief, to acknowledge the presence of our dear President, Mr. Emmanuel Mdevi, our senior VP, our junior VP, our ICAZ past presidents, Mr. Msendo, you were not mentioned, so I will have a special mention for you. Our ICAZ CEO, our ICAZ council members, all invited delegates, sponsors, and any other dignitaries that I might have left. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, and every protocol observed. It is my great honor, and on behalf of the Winter School Organizing Committee and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe, to welcome you to the ICAZ Winter School 2026 here at the magnificent Elephant Hills in Victoria Falls. To those who have traveled from across Zimbabwe and beyond our borders, thank you for joining us. Your presence demonstrates the value that we continue to place on professional development, meaningful engagement, and the advancement of our profession. This year's theme, Charting New Frontiers, Resilience, Innovation, and Sustainable Value. The theme could not be more relevant. We are operating in an environment characterized by rapid technological change, economic uncertainty, evolving regulation, growing expectations from our investors, governments, ZIMRA, businesses, and society. Organizations are being challenged not merely to survive disruption, but to adapt, innovate, and create value that can be sustained over the long term. As chartered accountants and business leaders, we are expected to help our organizations navigate these realities. Our contributions must extend beyond reporting historical results. We must provide foresight, protect institutional integrity, encourage responsible innovation, support decisions that balance financial performance with long-term sustainability. Resilience requires us to remain steady during periods of uncertainty while retaining the flexibility to change direction when circumstances demand it. Innovation requires us to question established ways of working and responsibility, embrace opportunities presented by technology, data, and new business models. Sustainable value requires us to look beyond immediate results and consider the lasting impact of our decisions on our organizations, our economy, and the future generations. Over the coming days, our program will explore those important matters through discussions of various topics, which include national economic outlook, corporate governance, etc. These conversations are intended not only to inform us, but also to challenge our thinking and inspire practical actions that we must return with to our organizations. There is perhaps no better place to hold this conversation than here at the Victoria Falls. And when you look at the falls, they remind us of the immense power that could be created when many individual streams converge towards a common destination. In the same way, the knowledge, experience, and perspectives gathered in this room can become a powerful force for strengthening our profession, our institutions, and our country. I encourage every delegate to participate fully, engage with the speakers, contribute to the discussions, reconnect with colleagues, and form new professional relationships. Some of the greatest value from winter schools will come not only from the formal presentations, but from the conversations and engagements we have as a grouping. I would like to express our sincere appreciation to all the sponsors, myself included, and participating partners. Your generous support has made this winter school possible and demonstrates your continued commitment to the development of accountancy profession. I extend my gratitude to our speakers, moderators, all the MCs that shall follow, and the one that has come before me, and members of the Mashonaland District Society, whom I represent, the organizing committee who has been spearheading this winter school, and all our professional relationship that have equipped this winter school with the necessary ingredients to make it a success. It is now my pleasure to warmly welcome you to the ICAZ 2026 Winter School. Thank you.
In terms of housekeeping, I just remind you to all keep your phones on silent. In terms of our convenience rooms, the gents, when you go out, is on your left, and the ladies is on your right. Whilst the presentation that is going to come through is ongoing, you are all reminded to register for the AGM. The details will be put on the screen. You can scan the details and register. That is for ICAZ members only. Our first presentation comes from Weston Madzure from the Victoria Falls International Financial Services Center. He will be co-presenting with Yolanda Chanakira, finance executive from the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Weston is a former Treasury official under the Financial Sector Policy Department in the Ministry of Finance and now heads compliance at the IFC. I will now move on to introduce Yolanda. Yolanda is a qualified chartered accountant who is registered with ICAZ and is also a member of the Weekend Harare chapter for ICAZ. She holds qualifications, amongst others, a BSc in Accounting with University of Nicosia in Cyprus, an honors degree in Certified Theory in Accounting with UNISA, a certificate in Corporate Finance with ICAZ, and is currently doing her master's in Financial Engineering with NAST. Prior to joining the ZSE, she was a corporate finance and at Imara, and also an audit manager at EY. Allow me to welcome Weston to do his presentation.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I think I only have about 10 minutes to go through my presentation. So maybe before I get to my presentation, let me just give a brief context background to why a country as Zimbabwe could come up with what we call an international financial center. So basically, emerging economies or emerging countries, developing countries, somehow face similar challenges regarding the access to international capital, access to long-term capital, forex challenges, limited exportation of financial services. So basically what my presentation would do, would try to address those challenges. So I will start with it's coming up. I will start with what is the VIFC. I will dwell much on why it matters. So the VIFC, like I said before, is trying to address challenges regarding access to capital. Challenges to do with limited products within our capital markets. So what it then does is the reasons why access to capital is limited within emerging countries is the issue to do with the operating environment. So an international financial center would then try to do away with certain restrictions that are encompassed within the local or domestic market. So what it then does is exempt certain laws which apply within the domestic market, then gives its own set of rules which are somehow globally, internationally accepted, that will allow investors to get in with their capital. So basically, usually it is instituted as a special economic zone. So by virtue of being in the center, you obviously get to benefit from all the benefits that are associated with SEZ. For our Victoria Falls IFC, it should act as a bridge between global investors and sub-Saharan Africa. Then I know that we have issues to do with our local currency, our volatility of our local currency. So this area, it's actually a geographical area with coordinates. Within that area, that's where all these elements apply. So it is also ring-fenced as a hard currency zone. Any hard currency and any free convertible currency will operate within the IFC. Then the regional ambition is to be the hub serving Zimbabwe today and the region tomorrow. So why in the Victoria Falls? Zimbabwe actually borders Zambia, Botswana, and Mozambique with strong commercial links to Zambia, Malawi, Angola, and the DR Congo. Zimbabwe, among other countries, is not spared by the issue where we have our wealthy citizens having their offshore finances outside the country. So by virtue of setting up the IFC, we are trying to get that offshore service within Zimbabwe. So the setup regarding, I think from this analysis, you see that 2% of the Zimbabwe GDP is within for offshore, and it's losing about 13 million in possible potential tax revenue. Let me just rush through. Basically, what we want to establish, what we have established, is a sort of a new jurisdiction which is within Zimbabwe, but it operates under different kind of regulations, under different kind of laws that applies within the domestic market. For instance, within the domestic market, we have the IPAC Act, we have the Arabis Act, we have the Exchange Control Act, we have the PECOG Act. So within this region that we have called the IFC, all these acts are exempted. And the center has come up with certain internationally accepted regulations, which will then be turned into acts as we go on. Let me talk about how the legal foundation regarding how it was set up. So basically the founding regulation is SI 29 of 2025. So this SI actually established the center and its founding mandate. Just also to mention that the IFC is under the purview of the Ministry of Finance. Then SI 68 of 2026 gives the actual general regulatory architecture regarding the licensing of the authorizing firms, market institutions, and ancillary service providers. I'm trying to synchronize with my screen here. I was talking about the founding regulation, that's SI 29 and SI 68 of 2026. So how is the center structured? We have our banking institutions, our capital markets, fund managers, insurance custody, trust and digital asset service providers. Then the market institutions are operators within the IFC. I think we have the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange as the anchor market institute. Then for you guys, I think we have ancillary service providers. That is our legal, audit, accountants, tax, and other professional firms supporting the two categories above. Then what are the services that are offered within the IFC? We have banking and treasury, capital markets, fund and wealth administration, insurance and reinsurance, licensing and registry service, digital finance and fintech. I think with the way this world is moving, I think we are good enough to be abreast with what the fintech world is running on. Then in terms of our ancillary service, we have our legal service, audit services, accounting service, tax advisory, consultancy, and corporate secretarial. This way. Then what is the role of the accountants within the financial service center? Number one, we are looking at the statutory and regulatory audit. Accounting and booking, these are the general accounting service that you can give. Fund and trust administration, corporate advisory, government risk and compliance, tax advisory, and compliance. So maybe just to go back to the benefits of you being within the center, we are saying that ordinarily we have our ACZs, which gives out the CEDA license, but it's more to do with manufacturing. So this now comes, I'm sure it will be the first ACZ to do with financial services, meaning that all the benefits, the tax benefits that are associated within an SEZ will be actually be able to be enjoyed by anyone who will be within the center. let me get down to the statutory role of auditors for auditors. I think section 86, actually invokes that every bank, fund manager, insurer, and other authorized firms licensed within the center must have an appointed auditor. Meaning that without you being registered in the center, you can't give services to any client that is registered under the IFC. So if you decide, you would have your practicing license within the domestic market. And you also need another license to operate within the IFC for you to actually amass the benefits that are associated. These are the basic duties that an auditor can do. Then the firms that can participate through several operating modules. We have our service provider, which is the one that then supplies accounting, tax, reporting systems and or advisory service to center participants. These are one way that you can then get into the center. Then we have licensed ancillary providers. These one apply to carry on one or more ancillary services within the center framework under section 26. Then we have approved audit practices. Then we have this specialist platform. Then the criteria for registration as a provider. This is the general fit and proper criteria that any financial institution should have. Let me not dwell much on this one. Also, this one is the fit and proper. Then these are the steps that one can take if you want to be part of the International Financial Center. So probably you just need to specify your services, your clients, and your delivery model. Then you engage the center with an expression of interest and discuss its classification. You then need to compare ownership, governance, people controls, and financial information. Not to forget that issues to do with anti-money laundering and terrorist financing will be a key issue regarding any player that wants to participate within the center. Then I think stage 4, you will then apply under the licensing committee, will then assess your fit and proper. Then under stage 6, you then launch your institution. So what is in need for ICAZ firms and members? This will be an opportunity for new revenue streams. This would also be a platform for you to access to global clients. We are saying that this International Financial Center is actually open to the whole of sub-Saharan Africa and the rest of the world. Then I think you can also set up your brand and probably get your credibility ratings getting higher. Then it's also an opportunity for your market growth, for you to position ahead of the curve as VIFC scales into the regional financial hub. This should be the next step for ICAZ members if you want to be part of the International Financial Center. I'm sure this will be my last slide, and I'm sure I'm within my 10 minutes. So should I let questions come in first, or maybe?
We'll have questions at the end.
Oh, no, it's fine.
We'll allow Yolanda to present.
Thank you very much for allowing me to present.
Afternoon all. Allow me to ride on Protocols already observed. My name is Yolanda Chanakira, as introduced before. I will try to make my presentation shorter, maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to talk about ZIX. ZIX is the Zimbabwe Entrepreneurship Exchange. It targets mainly SMEs. Okay, so everyone, I'm sure everyone will get the presentation. I'll get straight to the point and talk about where us as CAs we come in. So the main reason the ZSC came up with ZIX is to try and cover the financing gap in Zimbabwe for SMEs. How is ZIX going to work? So our operating model has got 4 blocks. We've got private markets, public markets, we've got the invoice discounting bit, and then we've got the bond holding. So I will try to explain the whole cycle. Private markets, Madira kind of private school. So what happens is there is a wealthy individual, and then someone has got a business idea. We are the deal room. That's where you meet. You agree on however you guys are going to manage it. Some people may say they want debt. They'll give you as debt, but they want collateral. So where the bond holding company comes in is if collateral is a title deed, you give us your title deed and we register it. So for example, you come in with your mining is the most expensive. You want 1 million. Then maybe Yolanda comes in and says, okay, I can give you 400,000, but I want collateral. Then Simba comes in and says, okay, I've got 300,000, but I also want collateral. So Yolanda and Simba's interests are going to be registered on that one bond. So it makes it cheaper for someone than having to register a title deed for a house that's worth 700,000 for a 200,000 loan. So that's where we're going to bring in the bond holding company. And then public markets, it's just like ZSC or VFX, but I'm sure you've seen the checklist that was going around. We have tried to relax the listing requirements. For ZIX, it will be way more relaxed than that. And then for our invoicing X, how it works is we've got financiers standing on the other side. We will have buyers. The idea was mainly to start with our current issuers, but we are also engaging other people. At the moment, we've been dealing with Windmill, and Zimplo has been on board. We've been having negotiations with Citco. They will bring their suppliers on board. So a supplier will come in with an invoice, and the buyer will have to confirm the invoice. If a financier is happy with the payment terms that the buyer is confirming on that invoice, then they will fund the supplier at a discounted rate, of course. And then once the buyer is happy, goods have been delivered, services have been delivered, good to go, they then pay off 100% of the invoice amount to the financier. Right, I think I've covered private markets, public, invoice X, and bond holding. Now, where do accountants come in? Oops. Okay. Right. Where do accountants come in? So, those are the main areas where you come in. What will happen is, on our primary markets, I think we know the main sponsors have been brokers all along. So we've changed that so that it's a bit more affordable for SMEs to come in and get funding. You agree with your client how you're going to charge each other, but in short, you are now the liaison officer between your client and ZSC and the regulator. So that's where you guys come in. Under invoice discounting, you can come in as an individual, as a financier. You're also allowed, provided you're a wealthy individual, just joking. But, and then secondary market commissions, you are allowed to bring in a client under the ZIX and then help them graduate to the primary market, ZSC or VFX. So we don't have a threshold. It's not a must to eventually graduate, but depending on how well the accountants, our learned friends, the lawyers do on this part of the exchange, we will then be allowed to move on and work on the primary exchange. The last part, I'm sure most of you have heard that it was launched in Bulawayo. So why Bulawayo? It's for historical reasons. The exchange initially started in Bulawayo. Also, it's not very new in the capital markets field. South Africa, they've got the JSE, and then in Cape Town, they've got an SME exchange. So it's also for geographical presence. With ZIX being in Bulawayo, that means we also introduce ZSE and VFX to people in Matabeleland. And then the last thing, we have been hosting the Prospective Issuers Program, PITP. That was more of like a mentorship program for the SMEs that were interested in then listing at some point in the future. And it's been running for 3 years. Over the years, we noticed that our numbers were increasingly coming from Bulawayo. So this is why we ended up going to Bulawayo. The next question that I am assuming might come up is there anything to read up on ZIX? We do have draft rules, but at the moment, ZIX will be operating in a sandbox that has been approved by our regulator, IPAC. A sandbox is where you proof test a concept. So everything will happen in the sandbox, including trying to see and assess if the rules work. We are currently in negotiations with the Minister of Finance for tax incentives. So everything will happen in there. After 6 months, we'll review a back and forth. After 12 months, that is when the draft rules will then be approved and they will now be available for the public. I think that is the end of my presentation. I don't know if there are any questions. Thank you once again.
Good afternoon once again. We are now moving on to an important session, which is our annual general meeting. And I would like to call upon the President to now lead us from here. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to our annual general meeting for the year 2026. Before we start, can I kindly ask the non-members maybe to excuse us for the meantime? Thank you. Right. I think we can start. Just to welcome everyone. I know we've got members who are online. So I would say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to the 108th Annual General Meeting that we're going to have. I'll now move on to the formalities of the day. In terms of the quorum, Madam Registrar, do we have a quorum for this meeting?
President, in terms of Section 40, subsection 1 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws, 25 Chartered Accountants shall constitute a quorum at any general meeting. This has been satisfied as we have more than 25 members present.
Thank you. As there is a quorum by virtue of the members that are here present, I declare the meeting properly constituted. Madam Registrar, was the notice for this meeting circulated on time?
President, the notice convening this meeting was circulated to all members via email on the 8th of July 2026, well within the time limit required.
Thank you. The notice for convening this meeting having been circulated on time, I propose that the notice convening the meeting be taken as read. May I have a seconder? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam SVP and the team. I declare the motion carried. The meeting is thus duly convened to conduct the business for which it has been called for. In terms of apologies, Madam Registrar, do we have any apologies that were shared with you?
President, I received apologies from several members. I have a list of the names.
Thank you. The apologies have been duly noted. May we all be upstanding to observe a moment of silence for the following members who passed away during the presidential year. There is Peter Whitney Fenhead, who is a chartered accountant in Zimbabwe. There is Gertrude Kuwai, a chartered accountant. So just a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we can take our seats. We go to the first agenda, which is confirmation of the minutes of the 107 Annual General Meeting, which was held on 25 August 2025. May I propose that the minutes of the 107 Annual General Meeting, which was held on 25 August 2025, and circulated to the members, be taken as read and confirmed as a correct record of the proceedings. Can I have someone to second the proposal? Thank you so much, Madam Councillor Violet. If the members are in agreement, I will proceed to sign the minutes as a correct record of the proceedings. I take it that there are no proposed amendments to the meeting, so I'll sign the minutes. Just to advise the members that at a general meeting, decisions are taken by show of hands, unless if we've got 10 members who request a poll. So everything that we're going to do here will be, the decisions are going to be taken by show of hands. I thank you. We go on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item number 2. That is to receive, consider, and adopt the annual report of council, statement of accounts, and audited financial statements for the year ended 31 May 2026, together with the independent auditor's report. A copy of the annual report of council, which contained the statement of accounts together with the independent auditor's report, was circulated to members on the 16th of July 2026 and also posted on the ICAZ website. I will now call upon our CEO to give a presentation on the highlights of the annual report of Council. I thank you.
Good afternoon, members. I will take you through the key highlights for the financial statements. The report itself tried to be very detailed, but I'm just going to take you through maybe 6 key takeouts from the year. Then I'll just dive into the headline numbers for the financial statements. Then also talk to you about the 2026-2029 strategy, together with the supporting growth priorities. Let me start by saying the year has actually started to define the way we want to interact with members. I'm going to talk about the digital transformation, which we've been working around, which is being driven by obviously technological advances, but also a realization of the mix of our members. Now that we have more of our members outside, but they need service from the institute. Then I'll also talk about the key observations which are worrying, like our exam pass rate and also data collections. Let me start by looking at one of the key updates which I want to provide to members. I know there's a member who actually helped the institute a lot on this and was passionate about it. I'm glad that he's here today. The PAB of Zimbabwe and the Financial Reporting Council of the UK have agreed a mutual recognition agreement, which is going to the FRC board in September. And they've penciled in 14th of October as the signing date. For members, I think I need to explain what this means. What it means is that if you're a chartered accountant in Zimbabwe and you hold a practicing certificate from the PAB in Zimbabwe, you don't need to write any additional examinations for you to actually practice as an auditor in the UK. And the reverse is true as well. And this is a milestone which is huge for us as an institute. We have close to 550 members in the UK, and their journey to actually being auditors has been tedious. They would go through examinations and so forth. All they need now to do is, once signed, they then do their conversion in terms of tax and law, which every jurisdiction does, and then they can practice. And it also opens an opportunity for us here to go and maybe open offices in the UK and broaden our own firms which are local. So that's one update which I think was important to share with members. The next 3 updates are all related to the digital transformation which I mentioned. Those who engage with our website, you'll have seen that there are a number of changes which you are seeing. You told us that the interface between yourselves and our website has not been good. And we have actually internally developed a learner management system. It's not just going to hold courses, but it's going to be the interface which you will have. And it will have many other things which will be attached to it. This has been deployed and is now available. But functionalities are going to be continually built in. And I'm also proud to announce that stability of our system, I think members can confirm, has improved as we did the solar, and we also had to migrate our data onto cloud. So based on this LMS platform, members, we now have online courses, which you can do at your own time. And currently, we've got about 23 to 25 courses which are available. And what we want to do, every webinar, every training or event or CPD event of ICAZ will then be uploaded onto the LMS, so that if you miss an event, you then have access to it thereafter. The logging in to the LMS is now linked to your own normal login. You don't need to actually do a re-login. And we've also made it easier for you to acquire courses on it online. So you can use your EcoCash, you can use your Visa, MasterCard, etc. on the platform, and then you get logged on. You can also pause a course and then finish on time or at your own time. Then, because of what we've built, I want to also talk to you about the change which we have introduced in the CPD policy. And it's also a response to your input. Majority of the CPD we have been providing has been accounting centric. And most of our members, some of them are no longer in frontline finance, and they don't need it. IFAC has actually changed the general approach to CPD from hours towards competence-based. ICAZ has responded. We have now created a CPD platform, which is electronic. What you only need to do at the beginning of the year, you log in, then you identify the competencies which you want to achieve in that year. And then once you start actually doing your CPD, it then updates your competencies. We've also made some mandatory competencies like around ethics, which will be there. So our task now is to make sure that we give you a suite of courses which actually support competencies which you would have selected. I'm hoping by the end of this winter school, everyone here would have done at least a learning plan. We were targeting to get to at least 40% compliance. Currently, we are actually at 15%. And I am calling to members to get into the system, at least do a plan. We will be attaching reminders so that you get email reminders to go back and complete your plan. This is important for us, ladies and gentlemen, because of our IFAC accreditation. We are reviewed every 3 years. And the next review is likely going to come in 2027. We comply with all the 3 member obligations as an institute. And that included CPD at that point. And I am just asking for members to make sure that you help the institute remain compliant with member obligations for IFAC. A concerning development is the pass rate, particularly in the IAC. For those who are older, this is board 1. That number you see there is real. We had a 21% pass rate in January. And initial assessments obviously is pointing towards maybe the quality of graduates we are getting. We are now seeing through the graduates who did the modular approach in the country, and our exams assume certain basic university knowledge to be retained for you to attempt it. So that is seemingly not coming through. And the tragedy was also exacerbated by our change in curriculum. So students are really struggling to actually pass our IAC. As an institute, it is our view that we need to make sure that we give students a fair chance to succeed. We don't lower the bar, but we need to help them prepare. So in that respect, we've done immediate responses to support the students around make it compulsory for them to actually do a preparatory course. We've also made sure that we subsidize that course so that students don't find it heavy. And we've also engaged some coaching for some students. And we are monitoring their attendance to the examinations and the preparatory program. But in the long term, what we are thinking of doing is to look at how we can influence the undergrad. Right now, we are working with the University of Zimbabwe to have a separate degree which actually gives the foundation for students to actually be able to make it in our examination. That agreement has been there, and we are going to deploy that. But once we run with the University of Zimbabwe, we might then influence other universities as well. The other element which I wanted to speak to you about is the collections. That is our data's collections. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing challenges in members who are taking long to settle. I am saying taking long to settle because when we publish a deregistration list, it starts at 270, but it ends at around 300 after we've published a deregistration list, meaning that members can actually pay, but they're not prioritizing paying the institute on time. Yes, this year the collections have improved. We are now at 75% of the 2026 subscriptions being paid. But unfortunately, we've got a backlog, which is significant. When you look at our balance sheets, we've got about $1 million of subscriptions on the balance sheet. It is, I think, for members to help the institute settle their dues. I'll then move on, members, onto just the headline figures at a glance. We closed the year with a revenue or income of 3.9 million. And we managed to record a surplus of 448,000 in the year and grew our assets by just about a percentage, with our total reserves going up by 23%. One of the contributors, ladies and gentlemen, obviously is revenue growth, but most of our revenue growth is coming from education and students, followed by growth in membership. Student commission rose by 20%, subscriptions rose by about 6%. We've managed to contain generally our costs during the year, and resulting in a double of our surplus. When I look at our liquidity, which is related to the point I was talking about, the receivables compared to prior year, they've just declined by 74,000, which is something which we really want to work on to make sure that we improve and reduce it to at least 25% off the current year subscriptions owing at the end of the year. We also had a deliberate strategy to reduce our liabilities to the PAAB and for the board preparation costs this year, and we have reduced our liabilities. If I'm looking at the cash ratio, which we are saying, which we are just calling the liquidity surplus, as at the end of the year, we had a surplus of 50,000, which is just looking at how much cash covers the liabilities. So currently, our balance sheet is strong, and we are able to continue operations. Having talked about the performance for the year, Council has given us the 2026 to 2029 strategy. This strategy was driven by our vision and our mission, and a realization which was very clear and candid that for the institute to continue, it has to remain relevant. And when Council discussed, they said relevance comes from serving its members and having an impact on society. Ladies and gentlemen, we came up with 3 pillars. 2 of them look directly at members, and the other ones are resultive or are a result of how we then work with our members, develop them, and how we then impact society and policy. It was clear that we are moving in turbulent times, and we are going to focus on making sure members are digital savvy. And this pillar in blue is looking at what the institute will do for its members. And we were also very clear that as we develop as chartered accountants, our purpose is also to develop the next chartered accountants and enshrine them in our technical expertise and ethos. So one of the key things which we'll do, among other things, is to actually create formal mentorship and coaching so that our upcoming chartered accountants can receive support to grow their careers. The next pillar is about ICAZ taking a position in the market through thought leadership. The key thing which is there, although obviously you'll be aware we'll be having many strategic tactics, but what needs to be done is not for ICAZ to be an activist organization, but create strategic partnerships so that our voice can be heard, our input can be heard, and we influence policy. Then the next pillar is looking at member experience, where we want to see an improvement in engagement and also our own value proposition to you. So there are a number of tactics under there where we want to show to our members that we are relevant. This strategy in detail is going to be socialized with members in town halls from August, and I want members to participate. That's where we'll give you maybe the other nuggets around the key supporting tactics. And lastly, it's around regulation and public trust. When our members are doing the right things, when our members are producing thought leadership, when members are future ready, the next thing is actually they're creating a value to the public. And ICAZ wants to be closer to its members, particularly those who are providing public services, and increase regulatory oversight, and also make sure that we remain ethical and quality is maintained as we do our duties. So, having said that, everything has to then end in numbers. So we are looking at a growth rate of about 8% over the strategic period, where we think we'll be having about 5.5 members and students by the end of 2029. And then our revenues should be closing around 4.6 million in 2029. There are risks which we are managing as we navigate the strategy. Obviously, competition remains. The evolution of automation and AI. Although I'm celebrating the diaspora, there's also a risk that we might have also brain drain. That will also compromise maybe the quality of the product we produce. And Zimbabwe is not very predictable, and the economy might actually change. So that's the end of my presentation, members. I will then hand back to the President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you for the insightful presentations. I'm sure we'll open the floor for questions, but the CEO would require a roving mic. If you can have one, please. Okay, so while we're waiting for the roving mic, are there any members who have got questions in terms of what has been presented? Or maybe before CEO you come through. Just one important quick update. During the course of the current presidential year, one of the things that we promised that we're going to deliver to you were the bylaws within this AGM. Obviously, we had some processes in terms of the approvals of the budgets and other things that had to be done. And the process only started around towards March and into April in terms of the consultations. Obviously, there are some comments feedback that we've received from you, the members, in terms of how you wanted the process to be considered, so that it could then address some of the concerns that you had. And that having been coupled by the pressure which was coming for us to prepare for the closure of the AGM, we thought that it was prudent to pause a bit and then to allow the processes to then resume after the winter school. So going forward, your council is then going to come back to you in terms of the way forward and how the voting process will then be done, which we hope will be done before end of this year, after having considered every aspect and every detail that the members have raised. So I thought that was important for you just to be aware in terms of where we are in terms of the bylaws. Thank you. That having been said, can we have any of you have got burning questions? Yes.
Thank you very much, President. My name is Clever Chinoda. I'm a member of ICAZ. I just have got a few questions from the report which was presented by the CEO. I think the first one is on the pass rates, and then coming up with a mandatory course as a remedial action. Then our strategy is growth, and then now we've got sub-tier categories of membership. Why are we forcing these people who have failed to pass when we've got other sub-categories? I think we need to look at it comprehensively, and then obviously trying to maybe have an MOU with Investors of Zimbabwe for a preparatory course. If we are going to a local institution, I think we should look at empowering our local institutions to actually maybe have a sitting of CT. So I think those are things that we should consider. If we want more members, obviously if we invite everyone to come and sit for CT or board one, it's not everyone is going to pass. So maybe the 15% is a clear indication of the capability of the people who would have attempted. So I think maybe you really need to relook at it. Because obviously coming up with a separate course, it increases the education cost for students. And then secondly, I'm sure the CEO mentioned about the top risks. So I think they were just highlighted. I think maybe it would be important to share the key strategies that we are doing. I think my main focus is on artificial intelligence. It's really disruptive. It's affecting how we're operating as chartered accountants. So I think we really need to really understand what strategies they are putting in place. So for example, if you talk of a CPD, if there are no AI trainings, it will not be as beneficial as it should be to most of the members. Then the last question is on the cash at the bank. Is it cash or is it bank balance? Because from our last AGM, we heard that there's cash at the vote. So we want to know the controls which are in place and also assurance from our auditors that that cash is actually at the bank, unless if it was banked this year. Then my last comment would be to say, if you come up with recommendations in an AGM, I'm sure like most members will not have time to actually maybe go to the consultation rooms particularly on the bylaws. So it will be important maybe to present a summary of the key changes that are coming. Then on all the key issues that are actually presented, you need to come up with a trailer to say maybe periodically, quarterly, you send an update to members so that we keep track of what we discussed in the previous AGMs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Siwa, you can take the questions.
Thanks, Clever. I'll start with the cash. So the balance I have shared is bank balances plus cash. The last time we had significant balance in cash at the vault at cabs. And indeed, we do have controls, biometric, 2 people getting in and so forth. But what I want to tell members is that what we are doing is we are actually spending down the cash and not touching other external balances we have. So from last year, I think we had about 350. We're now about 200 something. So we are using the cash for local expenses, and we are no longer using the other accounts which we have outside to manage that. And then you then raised an issue around the pass rate and an admission that if someone is not good enough, they're not good enough. I think that's the point you're raising. This is something which we have also considered as an institute. But there is a transitional period which we are dealing with. The truth of the matter is most of our local universities have gone back to semesterization. They've stopped the passing one module and finishing because the results are there to see. So we need to deal with that pipeline. That's why we're trying to support them. So that at least maybe they are now at board 1 level. They've passed CTA, but they're good enough. They need support. But the point you raised, I touched on it briefly when I mentioned the work we are doing at the University of Zimbabwe. Our view in general is that if we have got an ICAZ program which prepares our people, their chances of success will be better. And that's exactly what we're looking at. And I also had not fully also covered your point where you were talking about what do you do with the people who are failing. In the exam board last week, there was a point which is exactly to what you're saying. If you've had a bad fail in IAC, can you go and attempt the general accountant final paper? Because you already have CTA, you already have experience. Then you become a general accountant and end there. Because right now we've got a ballooning of numbers at that level who are not progressing. So thank you for raising that, but it's something already under consideration. Thank you. Did I miss another?
There was an issue around AI.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, digital. That's very helpful, Clever, in terms of the institute itself actually creating platforms where members learn. In the LMS we have right now, there are courses on AI. I've done one, but it's very basic. So what we want actually is to look for partners who actually give us the practical aspects of AI. Because what we are saying AI as individuals, probably is just going to ChatGPT and ask it to clean an email and so forth. But people are doing bigger things. So that requires maybe further training for people who will be interested, but we'll definitely explore. But what is there currently is just basic for you to understand. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. There was one more you were missing. Okay, updates to members.
Okay. Oh, no, I think his point taken. I think we will. The
CEO, let me help you. Actually, as part of the current strategy, we agreed as council that we would have regular town halls with members to update them on what's happening in the institution.
Maybe what?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I got your question. Your issue was after this AGM, we've got issues that members would have raised and concerns and so on. do we have a tracker that members should be able to follow through and say, this has been addressed, this has not been addressed? What we are going to do going forward is that obviously when we then come into the presentations or even when the papers are being circulated, it's something that can also be incorporated into that, so that you members can then satisfy yourself that the issues have been attended to. Okay, excellent. We can, the past President Makaya, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. This issue of a low pass rate at CTA is really worrying. And this matter reminds me of a time when I was at the University of Zimbabwe. I spent about 10 years lecturing, and I've got a number of students here who then qualify to be CAs. Now, my view is, unless we aim to be at the universities as here, CAs, we may not be able to resolve this issue. Emmanuel, remember how I was chased away from UZ?
Yeah, true.
One morning when a lecture was about to start, a lady came and I was standing in front of the students, ready to deliver a lecture. What lecture? It was on advanced what? Financial reporting. That's the one I was taking. So the students are looking at me, and a lady walks up to me and says, Mr. Makaya, can I have a word with you? We walked out and I was told to stop the lecture because the university terminated my contract. Okay? And the chairman of the department had the courtesy to call me and say and explain what had happened. The UZ had decided to comply with the, is it Education 5.0? Something like that. I don't have anything against that education policy in the country. But what we must appreciate is, when I was a lecturer for the 4th years, I was naively deliberate to touch on CTA. So the argument was, when an accountant qualifies, remember Makaya, these guys may not want to be CAs. So let's not take that route of emphasizing the preparation for these students to be what? To be CAs. And they said it's okay. So we left. Now, if you roll back in 1975, in 1975, possibly Mkoma both will remember this. There was a similar problem where it was difficult to be generating chartered accountants. And some lecturer called Mr. Sunderland, he was the chairman of the UZ, was approached by ICAZ. And it was agreed that ICAZ would second members and be lecturing at the University of Zimbabwe. And ICAZ would fund their salaries. Okay? That was a very beautiful intervention. But let's roll it forward. If we are to have that approach, we say, okay, you want to provide tuition as CAs. I don't think it will be enough, because they will accept, okay, fine, the lecturers are here, but they will need to teach education 5.0. We are back to 0.0. So what we should do, because really 21% is worrying, Mr. President. Yeah, we need to sit down as council and say, how do we move our strategy to grow our membership into the universities? Because that's the source market. We pick these people who become CS from universities. So the council has got cut out that you need to really sit down and possibly to approach and say, the lady next to me, she was explaining how UCT has done it. UCT, when you enroll to do accountants, they divide it into 2 categories: general accountant and the accountant who do CTA. So the statutory government requirements are met under the first category of a general accountant, and the second category then meets these special requirements for someone to go on to be a CA, because it's very tough for someone who doesn't have a foundation in accounting to then start at CTA level. Imagine what you now call what? It's still there, or I can't remember if it is. Okay. So your council, I could be addressing the SVP because you are leaving today or tomorrow. The council has to be deliberate. Let's approach the relevant or some investors. But the problem is it has been made uniform in Zimbabwe. What you find amongst these state universities is almost the same. Yeah. Okay, so let's appreciate that and move forward. But we need to intervene, Mr. President, on the low pass rate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice President, for the insights. We'll definitely make sure that there are intervention measures. There's a question right there from Tipe. If we can have a mic to Tipe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Greetings to all. Mine is on the absorption of article trainees in the market. I think there's a challenge where these young men and women, they qualify or they pass their CTA without training contracts. And for them to be able to write the final exam, they require a minimum number of hours. And we've seen quite a number of such candidates failing to write their final exams because training offices are not absorbing enough as they used to do. Maybe it's a call for ICAZ to intervene, especially for audit firms, to continue to absorb significant part of the students that we have in the market. Even the private sector also, I know they are doing what they are doing. Maybe they take one or two. If there are opportunities for them to absorb more so that we keep the profession going. At this rate, we might end up with only old-aged CAs without the new ones coming in. Okay. That's the challenge that we have in the market. Maybe your comment, President.
Thank you so much, Tipe. Maybe just to highlight that it's something that your council is identified as an issue, and there's a strategy that they are working around. The one thing that I just wanted to mention is at the moment we've sort of like added a resource internally within ICAZ to just look into those issues, engage the various parties, make sure that training offices are where necessary, registered on time, where their training offices, the utilization of their capacity is at its optimum stage. So it's something that the council is working on and dealing with. But that having been said, we can't run away from the fact that our economy, the structure of our economy changed a couple of years ago. And because of that change in terms of the structure of the economy, this is the reason why we are where we are. But I want to appeal to the members who are here present and those who are even online. If you are a registered member, all you need to do is just to be, accredited as an assessor. You can have one or two, members, trainees that can come and join your office, and we can then work on this thing together and make sure that we amplify the capacity for the training space. So this is just an appeal. Allow me to take some questions from those who are online.
Thank you, President. There's someone who texted their contribution from Kudakwashe Baera. So here we go, the message. On SFP, we seem always to hold too much cash. Our investment in the Victoria Falls FTP assets are payly 38,000 USD, which is not giving us dividends. Why can't management invest in good counters like Delta, etc., and pay dividends every quarter? Then also you contributed in the issue of the low pass rates. He's saying, I listened with the interest from the members on the issue of the low pass rates. My experience is that we are now very low, we have very low quality grants, and I'm now in the practice, and I'm fighting to teach A-level students than varsity graduates. Then I have also from Fungai Charumbira. Should we're still talking about degree programs? The students should have done this at IAC. Isn't this the purpose of the CTA, to ensure students are well prepared before? To what extent the CTA service provider being monitored to ensure they are preparing students well? Then I think if last, you can go ahead, unmute your mic and contribute.
So maybe I think you've got a mouthful in terms of questions there, so that we can keep track. CEO, maybe you can respond on the questions that have been raised for now.
Okay, I will start by responding to Kudakwashe Baera's comment. I think he was commenting about having cash and not sweating our assets for the benefit of members. Let me inform you that realization was done. I think we were actually instructed to work with the audit committee to come up with an investment policy. We didn't have a policy to invest. We were very conservative in terms of our approach. So we will be tabling a plan on how we actually deploy the excess liquidity we have, so that we can actually get something for members, including buying counters on the VFX or ZSE, if permissible. In terms of pass rate, I think the contribution Kuda Baera mentioned is an observation which I have shared. But Fungai talked to something a bit different, where she was saying these people would have done CTA. How come they are not passing our AIC? Let me first share a reflection that we are also seeing a decline on the CTA pass rate. So someone might escape CTA and it catches up with them when they do the board one. But CTA is still very less integrated for now. So someone who works hard and do questions might sneak through. But when you are now being asked to use knowledge you assumed at university to apply to a situation which is more complex, that's where you'll be found wanting. Because from our IAC going forward, it's integrated. But CTA is still being tested in subjects, so they can escape. But when you are now being asked a question with all four aspects, then it becomes difficult. So, and then Fungai also asked about how we monitor accreditation. We actually do routine accreditation. Last year we did accreditation review for all our service providers. We were using a SICA accredited reviewer. They spent 2 weeks with our teams here reviewing and reported to our service providers. The conclusion was that they are fit for purpose, with areas of improvement being identified, and we are monitoring those. So in terms of monitoring, we do monitor, and we continually ask them to improve. Thank you.
One question. Okay, so let's take that one. I think in the interest of time, we can then move on. So you can go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, there's someone online. You can go ahead with your question. Unmute and contribute.
Who is that?
Yeah, someone raised.
My name is Last Matema. I'm a member.
Okay, thank you so much. Last, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you. I have two. Mine is a question and another one is a comment. I'll start with a comment. Firstly, to acknowledge the significant work that the secretariat led by the CEO is doing in trying to explore opportunities for members, particularly drawing particular attention to the UK Zimbabwe arrangement where you can, if you hold a practice certificate in Zimbabwe with a PAB, you can practice in the UK. Well done, team, on that. Thank you for that. Then, with regard to a question, probably I might have missed it, but as a member, I would like to understand. Probably I could have missed it in the report. But as a member, we had raised issues formally with the institute, where we would seek clarity on certain issues which would be speculated in the public platforms. I haven't had any closure to those issues, and at the end of the day, I start to think to say, should we not consider maybe going forward in this report in terms of reporting back to members what were the issues members raised, how were they resolved? Probably something that was addressed while I had connectivity issues. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, member. You only congratulated the secretariat, and you did not congratulate your council as well.
Sorry, thank you, team. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone who made it happen. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's all right. Thank you so much. Right, in terms of the issues that were circulating, obviously in the social media, and members had raised the concerns, a due diligence was done by your council to look into those matters. They were investigated in line with the policies and procedures that we have in place. And after having done that due diligence, there was no tangible evidence in terms of linking the allegations that had been raised to the actual evidence itself to then say was the allegation factual. So on the basis of that, your institute then had to conclude the issues. Obviously, in an investigation, you always find a few management letter points that will be there. The management letter points, I can confirm they were identified and they were referred to the relevant structures and the committees for them to be dealt with appropriately. But in terms of factual evidence to support the allegations, it could not be found. So that's the development. But what we, from a strategy point of view, as your institute, we've indicated that we are going to have more regular, more frequent town hall meetings, where we are going to give you regular updates so that we all stay together. We're in touch in terms of what's happening within our institute. If there are any issues, we can then resolve them and address them together. I trust that will then address your issue. So in the interest of time, allow us to then move on to the next business.
Thank you, Brett. Maybe it's something that we can engage outside this for the sake of time.
Okay, that's all right. Just a moment. Ndanzvengwa technology pan. So I just want to revisit my screen. Okay. 2 minutes of your time. It has. Okay, so we are on agenda item number 2. Right, so may I propose that the report of council, the audited financial statements of the Institute of Chartered Accountants for the year 2026, together with the independent auditors report therein, be hereby approved and be adopted. Please, can I have a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Kwanzura. Thank you. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for approving the reports, please raise your hands. Those who are approving the reports, thank you so much. Those who are against approving the reports. Okay, I think the House is in agreement. The reports have been approved. Thank you so much. I declare that motion carried. We move on to the next agenda item, which is the elections for the year 2026. So we'll start with Manicaland chapter seat. In terms of section 3.3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws 1997, Ms. Violet Garava will retire from council immediately before the conclusion of the annual general meeting. In terms of section 3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws, elections were conducted for Manicaland seat. One nomination was received from Ms. Adelaide Topozzi. Therefore, Adelaide is deemed to be duly elected to represent Manicaland chapter on council. Adelaide Topozzi is the current finance director. Thank you for that. Adelaide is the current finance director at City of Mutare, who trained with Ernst & Young. She has over 16 years of experience in external audit, internal audit, financial management and governance. As a trusted partner and advisor to organizations, she is a value-driven leader, passionate about fostering ethical leadership and building positive workplace cultures, themes she frequently explores in her published writings. She's also a committed advocate for advancing women's leadership in accounting profession, mentoring emerging professionals, promoting inclusive financial practices, and create spaces for growth, visibility, and influence. It is your council's view that her qualifications and experience will add value to the council. I propose the confirmation of the election of Ms. Adelaide Topozzi to represent the Manicaland chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Madam SVP. Thank you. Okay. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for the appointment of Madam Adelaide Topozzi to the council, please raise your hands. Thank you. Those who are against, please raise your hands. So there is none. I declare the motion carried. Congratulations to Madam Adelaide Topozzi on being elected to council. We welcome you. Matabeleland District Society. In terms of section 3.3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws 1997, Mr. Bekimpilo Mpofu and Ms. Rumbidzai Ndebele will retire from council immediately before the conclusion of this annual general meeting. In terms of section 3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws, elections were therefore conducted for Matabeleland District seat. One nomination was received from Mr. Vuyo Ngumalo, Therefore, Vuyo is deemed to be duly elected to represent the Matabeleland chapter on council. Vuyo is a versatile finance leader with a unique dual discipline background spanning rigorous financial management and analytical scientific research. He currently directs regional financial strategy across Zimbabwe and Zambia within the tourism sector, built on a strong 8-year foundational legacy of public practice and audit experience at Deloitte. Beyond the boardroom, Vuyo is a dedicated community leader leveraging structured sports management to drive youth development, discipline, and social change. It is your council's view that his qualifications and experience will add value to council. I propose the confirmation of the election of Mr. Vuyo Nxumalo to represent the Matabeleland chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you so much, Mr. Seconder Secretary. I'm putting the motion to the meeting. Those who are approving the appointment of Vuyo Nxumalo to council, please raise your hands. Thank you. Those who are against that appointment, please raise your hands. There is no one who is against. Therefore, I declare the motion carried. Maybe I can see Vuyo is there. You can see the journal. You can stand up so that people can see you. Okay. I don't know if Adelaide is there. She's not. Okay, that's fine. So congratulations, Mr. Vuyo. To fill the other vacant seat, your council considered it fit to extend Mr. Bekimpilo's tenure on council by 1 more year, as he was still within his 9-year term limit of council. Bekimpilo Mpofu is a partner at PKF Chartered Accountants, and he lectures at the National University of Science and Technology, NUST. He has extensive experience in finance and accounting, with a strong focus on optimizing finance functions and strengthening internal control environments. He is passionate about developing the next generation of accounting professionals through mentorship, teaching, and professional development initiatives. It is your council's view that his qualifications and experience will continue to add value to council. I propose the confirmation of the appointment of Mr. Mpofu to represent the Matabeleland chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Madam SVP. Thank you. Is Mr. Bekimpilo Mpofu in? Okay, so thank you so much. There is your council member. Congratulations to Mr. Bekimpilo Mpofu on being duly elected to council. I also take the opportunity to thank Mrs. Rumbidzai Ndebele for her invaluable commitment and service on council. Mashonaland chapter seat. In terms of section 3.3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws 1997, Messrs. Anne Sudaka and Ngoni Mudzamiri will retire from council immediately before the conclusion of this annual general meeting. In terms of section 3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws, elections were therefore conducted for the 2 seats. 3 nominations were received from Uli Sambano, Kudakwashe Baira, and Jonas Jonga. Jonas Jonga, an election was held, and Ms. Jonas Jonga won the first seat, and Mr. Uli Sambano won the second seat. Yeah. Jonas Jonga is a chartered accountant and senior executive with over 25 years of experience in audit, advisory, and corporate governance across Zimbabwe and the region. He is currently the Chief Operating Officer and partner at BDO Zimbabwe, where he leads the firm-wide operations, quality assurance, and strategic initiatives. Jonas has served as a partner since 2005. He previously served on the ICAZ Council and chaired the Pathways Committee, contributing to key reforms in entry into the profession. He is passionate about developing future chartered accountants and advancing the profession in a rapidly evolving environment. It is your council's view that his qualifications and experience will add value to council. I propose the confirmation of the election of Mr. Jonas Jonga to council to represent the Mashonaland chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you. Thank you very much. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. Those who are against. Okay, there's no one who is against, so I declare the motion carried. Congratulations to Mr. Jonga. Is Mr. Jonga in the house? Ah, okay, all right. Thank you so much. Okay. On the second seat winner, which is Mr. Meluleki Sibanda. Mr. Mbano is a partner at Grant Thornton, Zimbabwe, where he serves as head of advisory. With over 18 years of robust, progressive experience spanning audit, tax, transaction advisory, and corporate restructuring, Meluleki has established himself as a trusted expert in navigating highly complex corporate financial landscapes. A practicing ICAZ member since June 2012, his credentials also include being a registered public auditor, insolvency practitioner, and registered estate administrator. Beyond his executive and corporate rescue responsibilities, Meluleki is an avid golfer who brings strategic focus, foresight, and steady leadership to every professional endeavor he undertakes. It is your council's view that his qualifications and experience will add value to council. I propose the confirmation of the election of Mr. Meluleki Sibanda to council to represent the Mashonaland chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for? Those who are against? There is no one who is against. I therefore declare the motion carried, and congratulations to Mr. Meluleki Sibanda for being elected to council. I take the opportunity to thank Messrs. Alice Daka and Gonmuzamiri for their invaluable commitment and service on council. Is Mr. Meluleki Sibanda in the house? Thank you so much. There is your council member. Congratulations. Australia chapter seat. In terms of section 3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws 1997, Mrs. Tarisai Makanda will retire immediately before the conclusion of this annual general meeting. She, being eligible, offered herself for re-election. In terms of section 3 of the Chartered Accountants Bylaws, elections were conducted for the Australian chapter seat. One nomination was received from the sitting member, Ms. Tarisai Makanda. Therefore, Tarisai is deemed to be duly elected to represent the Australian chapter on council. Tari Makanda is a globally experienced chartered accountant and financial services leader, currently serving as a partner in audit and assurance at Grant Thornton, Australia. She has over 20 years of international experience across Zimbabwe, the Cayman Islands, and Australia. Tarisai is also a member of the Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, CAANZ, and the Institute of Internal Auditors, and is a graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. As the representative of the ICAZ Australian chapter, Tari is poised to lead the strategic development of a vibrant professional community for Zimbabwean chartered accountants living and working in Australia. It is your council's view that her qualifications and experience will add value to council. I propose the confirmation of the appointment of Ms. Tarisai Makanda to council to represent the Australian chapter. May I have a seconder? Thank you so much. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for, please lift up your hands. Thank you. Those who are against? Okay, there is no one who is against. So congratulations to Madam Tarisai Makanda for being elected to council. I declare this motion carried. I'm not sure if Tari has visited us today. Okay. So I'm sure she's following the proceedings. There is your council member. The picture is there. Congratulations for that. We move on to agenda item number 4, appointment of the external auditors for the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Bekatili Chartered Accountants, Central Africa, have indicated their willingness to serve as auditors of the Institute. I propose that they be elected the Institute auditors for the current year until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. I propose that Bekatili Chartered Accountants Central Africa be confirmed as the auditors for the 2026 to 2027 financial year. May I have a seconder? Thank you. I put the motion to the meeting. Those who are for, please lift up your hands. Thank you. Those who are against, if there's anyone. Okay, so there's no one who is against appointment of Bekatili. I declare the motion carried. I would like also to take this opportunity to thank PKF for the pro bono audit services that they've given to the Institute of Chartered Accountants over the past 3 years. We really value the work that we have done, and thank you so much for that. Sure, thank you. Agenda item number 5, which is any other business. Madam Registrar, did you receive any other business to be considered at this meeting?
President, I did not receive any other business to be considered at this meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so there being no other business, that I think takes us to the next stage. Okay, sure, you can go ahead. There's someone online.
Mr. President, Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. It's my MB. Mine is just seeking clarity on the item to do with elections. I understand there is a committee which we set up to run the elections. And from my understanding is that this meeting we are just supposed to announce the results. The reason I'm asking is because I see it seems like we are voting again, because from my understanding the votes represent the views of the members, and they have elected them the candidates they think they would represent them. So at this meeting we are supposed to just announce the results, not to vote again. Maybe because I'm a new member, I might not know the background, but from where I'm sitting, it is coming as if we are doing the elections again. In our standing regulation, there's no way where it says the AGM would vote for council members. So that's the clarity I'm looking for. And then on the item to do with auditors, section 67 or 57 of our bylaws delegated that function to council. So maybe I might not have the background why this item is coming to the AGM for voting. So I thought council would actually select the auditors and also set the auditors' fees. So I'm not sure why it is coming to the AGM. So from where I'm sitting, if we delegate work to council, we need to give them the independence to do the work properly and then come to us and account at this AGM. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much. Maybe I would want to put our registrar on the spotlight. You can comment on a few things.
Okay, in terms of this meeting, putting a proposal is just adoption of the election results. We are not carrying out the elections again, but we are simply adopting the process. This is done just in case the members it's not everyone who votes. We might have maybe 20% of the members participating in the elections, and then they would have voted someone, and someone else knows information on that person, which information might not make them a credible person to serve on your council. So this is an opportunity to ensure that we only have credible people who sit on council. So that's why we have the election confirmed, in case there are people who know certain things that we would not have taken into account.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to advise and say over and above what Madam Registrar has said, What we'll do maybe in the coming presidential year is again just to revisit the concerns that you are raising, just so that we make sure that we are towing the appropriate line in terms of the policies and procedures, and we can then move forward in that respect. That having been said, sure. There's something that I need to hear from.
The chair of finance to answer on auditors, or probably same answer on the auditors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the chair of audit and finance. Are you in the house? Please. Yeah, there is an issue around the auditors. Maybe you need to just buttress it and give comfort to the members.
With regards the nomination and also approval of those nominations by this annual general meeting. Yeah, that's basically to give members an opportunity to question and to raise any issues regarding that appointment. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. I think it's clear, Madam President, designate SVP.
Good afternoon, members. All protocols observed. Members, may I propose a vote of thanks to the President for his leadership, guidance, and work during his term in office. President, on behalf of Council and all members of the Institute, I thank you for your leadership, guidance, and all the work you carried out during your term in office. We wish you all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam SVP. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you again for your attendance and hereby declare this 108th Annual General Meeting closed. May I call on all the council members, the new and the old council members elected, to remain behind for the first council meeting of this presidential year. I thank you all.